appeal we are going to discuss in the later slides. And the particulars of the appellate authority should also be mentioned by the authority of public authority. Now, a question may come in our mind as to whether is or are any information available with the public authority available for the public in general, or the question may be, is there any restriction on providing information under the Act? Here the question is yes, because there are three categories of information which are not accessible by any applicant, and these are the situation or cases where even if you apply for an information in any organization, they are not bound to give you the information. So make sure you get to know all those. These are explained under these different sections. Here it has been mentioned that first is partial exemption, which has been explained under section 24. Next is absolute exemption, which has been discussed under section 8. Next is information relating to third party, section 11. We will discuss those in details one after the other. First we will discuss partial exemption, which has been discussed under section 24. Here the RTI Act partially exempts such or some information like intelligence and security organizations from the application of this Act that are listed in the second schedule of the Act as below. The RTI Act has intentionally exempted some organizations for intelligence and security reasons. First is Intelligence Bureau. Second exempted is Research and Analysis Wing of the Cabinet Secretariat. Third, Directorate of Revenue Intelligence. Fourth, Central Economic Intelligence Bureau. Fifth, Directorate of Enforcement. Sixth, Narcotics Control Bureau. Next, Aviation Research Center. Next, Special Frontier Force. Ninth, Border Security Force. 10th, Central Reserve Police Force. 11th, Indo-Tibetan Border Police Force. 12th, Central Industrial Security Force. 13, National Security Guards. 14, Assam Rifles. 15, Shastra Seema Bal. 16, Special Branch Lakshadweep Police. 17, Special Protection Group. 18, Defense Research and Development Boards. 19, Border Road Development Board. 20, Financial Intelligence Unit India. 21, Special Branch CID Andaman and Nicobar. 22, the Crime Branch CID Dadra and Nagar Haveli. So these are the organizations which are partially exempted. After that we have this. These are called partially exempted because of the fact that these are not wholly exempted. Like here, if there is any allegation of corruption and human violation, like we have already discussed in the 22 organizations, the information shall be provided after the approval of the central government. It means that under section 24, there is only partial exemption. So, these 12 organizations will have to provide you the information if it is a matter of corruption and violation of human rights. And that is why it is known as partial exemptions. Right? Let's move forward. Next, we have absolute restrictions. This has been discussed under section 8. Here, section 8 deals with absolute exemptions from the disclosure of information request by an applicant. The PIO is under absolute duty not to disclose any information in respect of those subjects which are listed in section 8 as under. So, even if you file an RTI for getting the information in relation to this, you may not or you will not be provided the information. So let's discuss this one by one. First, we have here sovereignty, integrity, and in the interest of the India. So here, there is no obligation to give information disclosure of which would prejudicially affect the sovereignty and integrity of India, the security, strategic, scientific, or economic interests of the state, relations with foreign state, or lead to incitement of an offense. 2. Contempt of the court. There is no obligation to give information which has been expressly forbidden to be published by any court of law or tribunal, or the disclosure of which may constitute contempt of the court. 3. We have the heading breach of privilege. There is no obligation to give information the disclosure of which would cause a breach of privilege of parliament or the state legislature. Next point, we have intelligence, intellectual property, including the trade secrets. If it is a matter of trade secrets, there is no obligation to give information including commercial confidence, trade secrets, or intellectual property, the disclosure of which would harm the competitive position of a third party, unless the competent authority is satisfied that the larger public interest warrants the disclosure of such information. Next point, we have information received in fiduciary relationship. This can not be disclosed. Next, we have information received from the foreign government. There is no obligation to give information received in confidence from the foreign government. Next, we have endanger the life or physical safety of a person. If it is a matter of life or physical safety of a person, there is no obligation to give information, the disclosure of which would endanger the life or physical safety of any person, or the identity, the source of information or assistance given in confidence for law enforcement or security purposes. Next, we have the point impede the process of investigation. Here, if the information impedes here means restricts or stop. So, if it is as such, there is no obligation to give information which would stop the process of investigation or apprehension or prosecution of offenders. Next point, we have cabinet papers. So, any information cannot be disclosed relating to cabinet papers, including records of deliberations of the Council of Ministers, Secretaries, and other officers. Next, we have the point personal information. There is no obligation to give information which relates to personal information, the disclosure of which has no relationship to any public activity or interest, or which would cause unwarranted invasion of the privacy of the individual, unless the Central Public Information Officer or the State Public Information Officer or the appellate authority, as the case may be, is satisfied that the larger public interest justifies the disclosure of such informations. So, these are the different points which have the absolute restrictions. Next, we are going to discuss one more information which cannot be disclosed, and this has been discussed under section 11, and this information is known as third party information. Now we have to understand here the meaning of third party information. What is meant by third party here? Here third party basically means the employees working in an organization. So here, if you want to get the information which is confidential, suppose you want to get the information of me which should be confidential. For example, the teachers, if teachers are given some grades on their performance. Now if you want to check the grades that I have scored, which is given by the principal, which is totally a confidential matter. If you want to get that particular information, that information cannot be given directly. If the principal want to give that particular information, he has to first inform me that an information is sort of or for my grades or my performance. Then after that I can make a writing an application whether to give or not. And then while giving the information to the outside parties regarding my grades or my performance, he has to take notice of the application that I have made. Now, in giving the information, he has to look whether by giving the particular information, my prestige may be harmed or injured. Or the person who is looking for the particular information, I mean the public, is benefit or has benefited more. So we have to see those two things. And if the public is benefited more than the harm which has been done to me by giving the information which was of a confidential matter, then only that particular principal or the person in authority of a public authority give the information. So that's the point I would like to mention here, which is related to section 11, third party information. Here it says, in simple terms, section 11 says that when an applicant has applied for information relating to third party, the PIO can invite third party to make submission in writing orally whether the information should be disclosed or not. Here you check this line. That means here, if anybody wants to check my grades and apply for the information, the principal has to make a writing to me whether to give the information or not. But here, disclosed or not. But except in the case of trade secrets or commercial, in case of trade secrets and commercial secrets, it is protected by law, so that cannot be given. However, if the public interest, this line is very, very important, if the public interest in disclosure outweighs in importance any possible harm or injury to the interest of such third party. This is the line I just want to repeat again and again. If the public interest in disclosure outweighs here means more in importance any possible harm of injury to the interest of such third party. So hope you followed my point. If you don't follow or if you can't follow, you can read this line again and again and understand. It's because this is very, very important. Most of the persons in authority are unaware of this, and because of this they have done, some of the persons in authority have done a great mistake. So it is very important to know this section 11, which is related to the third party information. Next, we will go to a case study. There was a case study which was between Girish R. Despandandev, which was made by Supreme Court of India. Here it says that Supreme Court of India in Girish and others held that the performance of an employee officer in an organization is primarily a matter between the employment and the employer, and normally these aspects are governed by the service rules, which falls under the exemption personal information, the disclosure of which have no relationship to any public activity or public interest. On the other hand, the disclosure of which could cause unwarranted invasion of the privacy of that individual. So, you cannot get the information relating to the performance of a particular third party, I mean the employees of an organization. Keep in mind. After that, it is very important to know this, whether a political party is considered as a public authority or not. Here, the Right to Information Amendment Bill 2013 was introduced in the Lok Sabha on August 12, 2013 to make amendment to the Right to Information Act 2005 regarding the exclusion of political parties from the definition of public authority. The amendment bill removes political parties from the ambit of the definition of public authorities from the purview of RTI Act. So here the political party is not a public authority. This is because of the Right to Information Amendment. Here it has been mentioned that the amendment will apply retrospectively with effect from June 3, 2013. The statement of the objects and the reasons of the bill states that there are already provisions in the Representations of People Act 1951 as well as in the Income Tax Act 1961, which deals with transparency in the financial aspects of political parties and their candidates. It also adds that declaring a political party as a public authority under the Act would hamper, I've mentioned here, I have bolded this line intentionally. Here, if the political party is declared or is under the purview of the public authority, then it will hamper the internal functionings, and the political rivals could misuse the provisions of the Act, and thus it might affect the functioning of the political parties. So sometimes a question may come like, where is political party a public authority? The answer is no. Why? The reason being this: because they are already under the Representation of Publics Act, Representation of People's Act 1951 as well as the Income Tax Act 1961, which deals with the transparency in the financial aspects of political parties and their candidates. And therefore, the political party has been exempted from the definition of the public authority. So you cannot get the information even if you file an RTI in a political party. Had the political party been given the position of public authority, everyone would have filed an RTI and got the information, and the opposition party might have misused the RTI. Let's go to next slide. Again, there is a case study between Sri Subhash Chandra Agarwal and another versus Indian Farmers Fertilizers Cooperative Limited. Here we have to know one more thing, whether receiving subsidy from the government is comes after the RTI or not. Here it has held that CIC means Central Information Commission held that IFFCO, a fertilizer organization, that means Indian Farmers Fertilizer Cooperative Limited, is not a public authority under the section 2 clause H of the RTA Act. It was said that IFCO is getting a huge amount of subsidy from the central government, so it is a public authority. But CIC observed that subsidy is being given to IFFCO and other fertilizer manufacturers to meet the difference between the cost of production and the sale price fixed by the central government. The subsidy cannot be equated with outright grants. The provisions of subsidy is to keep the sale price of fertilizer low in the open market so as to keep it within the reach of farmers. Subsidy is not a grant. It is only a mechanism to pay the difference between the cost of production and the price of the fertilizers. So subsidy cannot be construed or regarded as substantial financing of IFFCO. So one of the definition of the public authority was that if any organization receives grants from the central or the state government, that particular organization is public authority. And even the NGO which receives finances or grants from the government, be it central government or the state government, was considered or is to be considered as public authority. So here subsidy, as because subsidy is not a grant, so an organization which receives subsidy cannot be considered as a grant, and that is why that particular organization cannot be termed as public authority. And hence, from the organization which receives subsidy from the government, you cannot consider that particular organization as public authority, and hence you cannot get the information from that particular organization. Next, I have given you one example. For instance, the cost of production of fertilizers is 1000 per quintal. Cost of production plus profit. Profit here means the imaginary profit is rupees 1000 per quintal. Then actual sale price in the market, that means they are not allowed to sell 1000 for rupees 1000 per quintal. They are allowed to sell at rupees 800 per quintal only. But these organizations are receiving 200 per quintal as subsidy from the government. But this subsidy of rupees 200 per quintal cannot be granted as, cannot be called or considered as a grant. So when it is not considered as a grant, then that particular organization cannot be called public authority. And therefore it has been mentioned here, therefore organization receiving subsidy cannot be regarded as public authority. Are you with me so far? If you have, stay with me till the end of the discussion. Next, we need to know some certain important functionaries as well. like CIC, which means Central Information Commission, and SIC, State Information Commission. Here first we are going to discuss Central Information Commission. Central Information Commission is established by the central government. The provisions relating to the CIC are as follows. This CIC is constituted with one Chief Information Commissioner and not more than 10 Central Information Commissioners who are appointed by the President of India on the recommendation of a committee, and that committee consists the Prime Minister, who shall be the chairperson of the committee, the leader of the opposition in the Lok Sabha, and a union cabinet minister to be nominated by the Prime Minister. And if the leader of the opposition in the House of the People has not been recognized as such, the leader of the single largest group in opposition of the government in the House of People shall be deemed to be the leader of the opposition. So this is all about CIC or Central Information Commission. Now within that, we need to know some other things as well under this CIC. The tenure of the service of Chief Information Commissioner or the Information Commissioners is for 5 years or 65 years, whichever is earlier. Here, Chief Information Commissioner or the Information Commissioner may resign from the office in writing under his or her hand addressed to the President of India. Why to the President of India? As because they are appointed by the President of India. Next, we will discuss the Chief Information Commission. The general superintendent's direction and management of the affairs of the CIC shall rest in the Chief Information Commissioner, who shall be assisted by the Information Commissioners and may exercise all such powers and do all such information commission autonomously without being subjected to the direction by any other authority under this act. And the headquarter is at Delhi. The Chief Information Commissioner and the Information Commissioner shall be person of eminence in public life with wide knowledge and experience in law, science and technology, social service, management, journalism, mass media, or administration and governance. There should not be a member of parliament or member of legislative assembly of any state or union territory or hold any office of profit or connected with any political party or carrying on any business or pursuing any profession. Sudhir Bhargava is the present Chief Information Commission of India, and Wajahat Habibullah was the first Chief Information Commissioner of India. Now we should also know how these Chief Information Commissioner or Central Information Commissioner can be removed. Like we have discussed before, as they are appointed by the President of India, they can be removed from the office by the President of India on the ground of the proved misbehavior. Here I have mentioned this misbehavior or incapacity after the Supreme Court on a reference made by it to the President has on inquiry reported that the Chief Information Commissioner or any Information Commissioners, as the case may be, ought on such ground be removed. But the President may remove to them in the following conditions. Number one, these are the conditions. If he or she may be Chief Information Commissioner or Central Information Commissioners, is adjudged or declared as insolvent, or he or she can be removed if he or she has been convicted of an offense which, in the opinion of the president, involves moral turpitude or engages during his time of office in any paid employment outside the duties of his office, or is, in the opinion of the president, unfit to continue in office by reason of infirmity of mind or body, or has acquired such financial or other interest as is likely to affect prejudicially his function as the Chief Information Commissioner or Information Commissioners. So this is how they can be removed. Like we have Chief Information Commissioner or Central Information Commissioner. In the state also we have State Information Commission. Here every state government are mandated to constitute State Information Commissioners, in short we call SIC. For example, Assam government has constituted Assam Information Commissioner ASIC in Guwahati, and this ASIC consists of the State Chief Information Commissioner SCIC, and such other number of State Information Commissioners SICS not exceeding 10 as may be deemed necessary. The SIC and the SICs are appointed by the Governor of Assam on the recommendation of a committee consisting of the Chief Minister, who shall be the chairperson of the committee, the leader of the opposition in the Legislative Assembly, and a cabinet minister to be nominated by the Chief Minister. So here, like the President of India appoints the Chief Information Commissioner, Central Chief Information Commissioner, and the other Information Commissioners, at state level also the Governor appoints the State Information Commissioner and the other Information Commissioners. This is almost the same like we have in case of Central Information Commissioner. You can get through this by yourself. Next, we are going to discuss the powers and functions of Information Commissioners. We will discuss one by one. The State Information Commissioner or Central Information Commissioner has the power or duty to receive